Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. It's time for the monthly Q&A section again. Let me thank you all right away for suggesting many good questions. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Ballistic N asks, I've been thinking lately why a lot of Chinese martial artists, and especially internal stylists, used to drink tea. I know that tea itself has the ability to relax the body. Some herbs also have it. Do you think that these masters drank tea in order to master their kung fu better? Since the body is relaxed, so are the moves becoming smoother and more flowing. Less tense and more powerful. Is tea making you feel the same way? I myself feel that practicing after drinking tea, the practice is a lot better than without drinking tea. What's your opinion? I wonder if you would feel the same in Taichi Quan or xingyi. A lot of good questions here. First of all, as the lifestyle, drinking tea is a very healthy activity. Call me biased, but I believe tea is the best beverage there is. There are many health benefits of consuming tea, including antioxidant, low caffeine content, reduced risk of heart attack and stroke, weight maintenance, among others. I drink tea every day. Drinking tea has become second nature to me, and you may have noticed all my videos invariably start with me sipping tea. Some people find this annoying and artificial, but that's not my problem. In fact, I suggest you watch my videos while sipping some tea yourself, because I'm an acquired taste. Anyway, these days I enjoy green tea, pu'er tea, and some other fancy tea such as 大红袍 or big red robe, 龙井 or dragon well. Also, I always make this a point to share good tea with my friends. I feel sharing good tea with friends doubles the joy instead of drinking it alone. So, if you find yourself in Montreal, we should drink tea together. The only condition is that you have to tolerate my strong opinions on tea. Many people know that drinking tea is part of Chinese culture. I think there were many factors that contributed to this phenomenon. One of the key reasons was that in the old days, people did not have a lot of choice, but by default, they would drink tea. But now, younger people in China have a lot of options, and the tea is only one of those. Of course, back then, all of the martial artists drank tea since that was the only option. But there is no direct relationship between drinking tea and the martial art practice. For example, I have seen many expert martial artists with questionable taste in tea, as well as the martial scam artists who are tea connoisseurs. I think tea and the martial arts are an excellent combination, but tea alone will not improve your practice. More importantly, I would like to emphasize that in martial art practice, we should pursue progress internally without depending on any external stimuli. Any real progress in practice is contributed by physical practice and mental focus, including detailed analysis and experimental testing. Let me share some of my own experience with tea and martial arts. When I came to Canada, I did not drink tea at all for at least the first couple of years. The reason was very simple. I told myself I had come to a new country with a total different culture, and I had to work hard in order to survive. Drinking tea would make myself too mentally relaxed, so I decided to stop drinking tea. Later on, I gradually resumed drinking tea once I realized that I was at a comfortable position in my Canadian life. After resuming the consumption of tea, I realized that my tea consumption or the lack of it made no difference to my martial art practice. I believe that ritual can enhance your overall experience. If you feel good by drinking tea and practicing martial art at the same time, please do so. If you feel wearing fancy martial art clothing or practicing on top of a mountain will enhance your practice, please go ahead. As long as one activity can improve the result and the performance of another activity, then please just do it. But remember, the quality of the martial art practice itself should be the primary focus. No amount of fancy tea or fancy surroundings or fancy clothing will ever be a substitute for quality practice. By the way, I would like to make some videos in the future to talk about how to prepare and appreciate Chinese tea. But right now, my focus is on martial art videos, so please allow me some time to prepare for it. Dimo Drenchew asks, I have been thinking about asking you about traditional Chinese music and specifically patriotic songs and related to martial art and heroes from the past and from legends. I don't know if you have any knowledge or interest in this subject, but I know that many ancient masters have used songs and poetry to express their feelings and thoughts about their art. I'm curious to hear something traditional and authentic, but my knowledge about this topic isn't good. So if you have any suggestions or real like the idea, I will look forward to hearing it. I believe other folks who have this spark in their hearts connected with traditional Chinese arts will enjoy it too. Thank you, Dimo. Very interesting question indeed. I like music very much and I love Beijing opera. I even had a couple of opportunities to perform Beijing opera on TV when I was a teenager. As for traditional Chinese music, it covers a broad range of styles. I no longer appreciate patriotic songs anymore. I believe that our individual development is more important than being patriotic, especially to a country that might be owned by a small group of people or families. But these days, being a Chinese Canadian, I appreciate the Canadian national anthem a lot. Since you asked me about the Chinese music, I'd like to introduce a bit about Chinese classical music, especially guqin music. In my opinion, this is the most important Chinese musical instrument because the style and the sound is reflective of Chinese history and culture. I have both the guqin and the guzheng, another famous musical instrument. This is my guqin and this is my guzheng. Unfortunately, my skill to perform guqin is very poor since I do not have enough time to devote myself to it. Like I mentioned in my answer to the previous question, external stimuli can be a good idea to practice martial arts. The same goes for guqin music. Some pieces such as liu shui or flowing water can be used for this purpose. You can check them on the internet and I have added some links in the description. However, if you want to improve your martial arts, I advise you to stop listening to music when practicing. You should focus internally when practicing martial arts. Any external elements, including music, will distract you from the objective. I hope you will follow this advice in practice. By the way, I added some background music to some of my old videos. The only purpose was to improve the aesthetic effect. But in no way should you consider that as my recommendation for your daily practice. Again, listening to classical Chinese music is great if you want to appreciate the art. It may enhance your mood, but it will not improve your martial art practice by itself. Also, it is right that many martial artists use poetry to express their martial art experience. However, their objective is to make their writing easy to memorize by others by improving its literary quality. Studying and practicing poetry will not help martial art practice at all. So, martial artists have their practical experience first, then express them with poetry, not the other way. By the way, I can say that I studied Chinese poetry at a good level compared to my skill of performing musical instruments. If you really want to know about it, you have to know Chinese language first. Then we can talk about it in the future. Maybe I will express my strong opinions on tea in poetic format so that they are easier to tolerate. Anyway, let's look at the next question. Digger John asks, do you know something that can help with post-training recovery? I want to recover fast so I can get back to training. Okay. Well, first thing first, I'm not a medical doctor in Canada, so I'm not in a position to give medical advice. Having said that, based on my personal experience and the traditional method used in the martial art community in China, I would like to share some information with you. Basically, a balanced nutrition and a good sleep are most for fast recovery. Personally, my life had been very organized before coming to Canada. For example, I would always go to bed before 11 p.m. and wake up around 7 a.m. for years. After I moved to Canada, my lifestyle changed drastically. Still, I try to maintain a regular schedule so that I eat well and rest well. However, given the lockdown over the past year, my schedule has become erratic due to different obligations. So I can feel the difference between now and before. So a good nutrition and good sleep will definitely improve recovery. Traditionally, people in China would take herbal supplements. Back then, we did not have a developed supplementary solution like nowadays. However, if people could afford them, they would take herbal supplements to strengthen their body and recover quickly. My grandfather gave me such supplements before, some of which included key ingredients like huangqi or astragalus, Chinese ginseng, baishao or white peony, and so on. During the older times in China, many martial artists had their own secret formulas for different purposes. Quick recovery was one of those purposes. That was the solution in the older days with the old method. But now, there are many solutions in the market, and I'm sure you can find a suitable one for you after doing some research. Again, what I said just now should not be considered medical advice. Please check with your doctor before proceeding. Neijiaquan said, happy to see you in great shape and really appreciate the profound meaning of your video. I think that's why Lutang said, real martial art has an aesthetic value. Really interested in your opinion about Master Sun's life, style, and calligraphy. Please take care. By the way, he's one of my students from Italy. He has learned from different teachers and he practiced different styles very well and teaches martial arts in Italy. I have to say he really devotes himself to martial arts. He came to Montreal to practice with me 2 years ago. We were supposed to travel to China together last summer, but we had to cancel our plan due to the COVID situation. About Lutang's practice, I have to say that Lutang was one of the great martial artists in the internal style community whom I respect a lot. In my opinion, he had two major contributions. First, he created Style Tai Chi. Even though he only practiced with Hao Weizhen, his Tai Chi teacher, for a very short period of time, only about a month, he eventually created his own style of Tai Chi. Of course, his achievement of Tai Chi was based on his xingyi and Bagua practice, especially his xingyi practice. Without his xingyi and Bagua practice, it would have been impossible for him to create Sun-style Tai Chi. His second contribution was to promote other martial art benefits, such as self-cultivation in addition to self-defense. He was one of the masters in history who mastered all the three internal styles of martial arts. It was very rare before, since people would not have the opportunity to practice all the three styles. He was the first person who tried to explain Bagua practice based on 8 trigrams, which I have introduced in my Bagua introduction video. In martial art practice, Nu Tang was really great. He was great at the calligraphy as well. He was considered an educated martial artist back then. Also, he worked at the brush pen store as an apprentice, which was said to give him a lot of opportunities to practice and improve his calligraphy. That is his calligraphy work, and I can say they are very nice. However, I have to also mention that some of Sun's students have over-exaggerated his achievements. It is understandable that students always promote their teachers and founders of a school, but it is simply dishonest to invent claims out of the thin air just to make the founder look great. Lutang was already a great master in reality. There's no need to invent ridiculous claims to make him look great. I will talk about this phenomenon in the future. Let's move on to the next question. Dale Robinson asks, what would you recommend training-wise from going from a hard external style of Shaolin Kung Fu, for example, 7-star Mantis, to an internal style? Many people think about switching from external styles to internal style at a certain age, or then they want to practice internal styles after mastering external styles for further improvements. It is a great decision, like I have mentioned before, based on my research that internal style of practice is the evolution of the Chinese style of martial arts. It was a result of further development of many styles of martial art in the last few hundred of years of Chinese style of practice. It's hard, if not impossible, to answer this question. It all depends on your specific situation, including factors like age, physical conditions, practice goals, and so on. Well, that may be the case. You can still choose any internal style and train as per your objectives and situation. But if I have to generalize, based on my experience, the best solution is to choose xingyi, since it is the internal style closest to the external styles. We even have this proverb in xingyi, 内加外练, which translates to internal style with the external practice approach. This means that there are a lot of strong power release practice in xingyi style, even though it is an internal style of martial art. I think that is one of the reasons why xingyi is time efficient and easy to grasp among all of the Chinese styles of martial arts. Hope that answers your question. Now let's go to the next question. Pinkimusta Tilli asks, what are the main differences between Chen, Sun, and Yang styles in Tai Chi Quan? In my opinion, no matter which style of Tai Chi, I would like to say that at a high level, the benefit should be the same. However, there are still considerable differences between Tai Chi styles. For example, Chen style is the oldest Tai Chi style, and it still maintains a strong martial aspect and function if one practices it well. That style emphasizes Chan Si Jin, or silk reeling energy, which is not that obvious in other styles of Tai Chi. Let's talk about Yang style. It is a great style. The most popular Yang style nowadays is the Yang Sheng Fu style. I believe it is a great style, especially for health maintenance. Also, that style is suitable for people of almost any age. Of course, that style can be applied for self-defense purposes with some specific training such as Fajin and others. Yang style Tai Chi emphasizes Chou Si Jin, or silk pulling power, a variation of Chan Si Jin, or silk reeling power, used in Chen style. Sun style was created by Sun Lutang based on Wu Hao style Tai Chi. The body movement reflects the practice of Wu Hao style, which focuses on the opening and closing movements. But its footwork actually follows that of xingyi. Some people tried to practice Sun style Tai Chi in order to understand Sun Lutang's practice. In my opinion, Sun Lutang's martial background was primarily Hebei xingyi, followed by some Cheng style Bagua, and he studied and practiced Tai Chi much later in his life, in his early 50s. So, my suggestion for those who want to know more about the Sun Lutang practice is to practice his xingyi first, then move on to his other styles such as Tai Chi and Bagua. I would say that main differentiating aspect in Chen style Tai Chi is its intrinsic focus on Fajin and martial applications, while Yang style and Sun style need to adapt their existing forms toward self-defense a lot more in comparison to Chen style. Yang Sheng Fu style focuses on big frame structure, while Sun Lutang uses small frame structure because it's derived from Wu Hao style. Hope that answers your question. Let's look at the next question. Claudeo Radityatama asks, I wonder what the different Chen and Yang style Tai Chi, and why is Yang style more popular than Chen Tai Chi? Well, I answered the first part of the question in the previous question itself. Now, let me talk about the second part of the question. Yes, Yang style Tai Chi is a lot more popular than Chen style Tai Chi in terms of the number of practitioners. However, if we look at the practice goals of the practitioners of both styles, we can notice that there are two main types of practitioners. The majority of the Chen style Tai Chi practitioners aim to practice Tai Chi for self-defense, or at least master Tai Chi push hands, while the majority of the Yang style Tai Chi practitioners focus mainly on maintaining health compared to Chen style. So if we talk about popularity, we have to also consider the goals of the practitioners. Also, Yang style Tai Chi is very beautiful and its routine can be mastered with considerably less effort. Please pay attention here that I'm using the term routine, but that does not mean the entire style is easy. Well, Chen style Tai Chi requires much more physical strength, which scares many people away. Personally, I practiced Yang style when I was a child and switched to Chen style before turning 20. Even since, I have enjoyed Chen style more and more and eventually stopped practicing Yang style because of the martial focus of Chen style. Let me be clear, I'm not saying that Yang style is inferior to Chen style. I'm just trying to clarify the differences between the styles. Now, the next question is about Wudang style. Let's look at it. Jana 6 asks, I would have another historical question about Tai Chi. The styles are categorized as Chen, Yang, Wu, Wu Hao, Sun, Zhao Bao, He. And the first style was Chen, as you also mentioned in a previous video. My question, masters teach Tai Chi in Wudang too, and they refer to it as Wudang Tai Chi. Why it is usually not listed among the basic Tai Chi styles? Wudang Tai Chi is the origin of all, or it's not true? If it is not the case, then what is Wudang Tai Chi? Hey. Well, it is a very sensitive question and it is very hard to answer it in a very short sentence. I made a video talking about the history of Wudang xingyi. In that video, I introduced that it is Fu Jianqiu, a xingyi master from Tianjin who visited and taught xingyi for about 2 weeks in Wudang. Some people in Wudang claimed that xingyi was created by Zhang Sanfeng and it's just a mistake, if not a lie. If you have not watched that video, please have a look and the link is in the description. As for Wudang Tai Chi, I have to say that in Chinese martial art community, to define a style, it requires to satisfy certain key criteria, such as, first, clear lineage with clear evidence. Second, fully developed system including routines, weapons, applications, theory, important figures, and so on. Or else, it would not be considered a style, period. Or if a style cannot clearly satisfy these criteria, then it would be very hard for it to be considered a well-developed style. Now, let's talk specifically about Wudang Tai Chi. Do you see the major differences between this style and Yang style Tai Chi? Let me ask this question in another way. Can you see the similarities between some popular Wudang Tai Chi and the Yang style Tai Chi? Most likely, your answer would be yes. But if you know about Tai Chi history, the popular Yang style Tai Chi nowadays was developed by Yang Shengfu based on old Yang style Tai Chi, which was very close to Chen style Tai Chi. So, how come Yang Shengfu's Tai Chi and the popular Wudang Tai Chi are similar? I think you can answer this question by yourself now. My understanding is that schools in Wudang Mountain are working very hard to develop and promote their style. Who knows? Maybe the next Zhang Sanfeng has taken birth already, or the original Zhang Sanfeng may soon return to really develop this style and the Wudang style may be considered a developed style in future. I hope I have answered your question. Pinkimusta Tilli asks, Does it make sense to start to learn another style of Tai Chi in parallel with that by which one started his or her own Tai Chi studies? Is there a list of English language book essays which you could recommend for those who are interested to learn more and deeper about the culture and the historical context of internal Kung Fu style, B, Chinese culture and history in general? I would be thankful for any recommendation written either with academic or popular focus. My answer to that question is no. It's not necessary to practice two styles of Tai Chi at the same time. In fact, it is counterproductive. It is not about how many styles of Tai Chi you practice. It is about how deep you practice one style of Tai Chi. If you really want to learn more than one style of Tai Chi, I recommend you first master the basic practice of your first Tai Chi style. Personally, I practice Chen style, and it's a very rich style in terms of content and benefit. I used to dabble in other styles of Tai Chi in order to understand them, but these days, I only focus on Chen style. Also, to your other question about English language book for deeper understanding of Chinese culture, historical context of internal styles, and other topics. I don't really follow English language books on Chinese culture and martial arts, but soon as I can find the time, I will do some research for you and hopefully I can find something interesting, but no promise. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Hinajana 6 asks, I was told that during Tai Chi practice we need to achieve this. 无人似有人, 有人似无人. What does it mean? I think I may understand, but could not really translate well in English. Maybe not possible by me. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for writing it in Chinese characters so that I could know the original sentence. Otherwise, I would have to guess the Chinese version if you only wrote it in English. First of all, let me literally translate it for you. The first part is 无人似有人, which can be translated as it seems that someone is in front of you when there's nobody. The second part is 有人似无人, or it seems nobody in front of you when there's somebody. Actually, these two sentences are used to describe the martial state of practicing and applying our martial skills. The first sentence means that when you practice, even though there's nobody in front of you, you have to visualize that there is an opponent in front of you. However, when you apply any martial skills, you have to just apply those learned martial techniques without being afraid of the opponent. So, the first sentence talks about the mental focus in practice. And the second sentence emphasizes the attitude towards the opponent. Be brave and confident. In one of my prior videos, I introduced the proverb. 练似有人，动似无, which translates to the same effect. Hope that answers the question. The next two questions are similar and I will answer them together. Pinkimusta Tilli asks, are there any by your preferred or recommended morning routine for internal style practitioners? If there are, don't you plan to make a video on this topic? Pepadan asks, would you be able to give us your daily martial training routine? Because there is a lot to learn and practice, but I'm not sure which exercise I should do because there are so many? This is a very common question, and I have a lost count of how many times I have been asked this. Like I mentioned in a prior video, I have not had a fixed routine for about 2 decades now. Every day, I just practice whatever comes to my mind. However, I would not recommend this approach to most people, especially beginners. In my opinion, most people need to have a fixed routine of practice, or else it would become very random, which can potentially hinder the effectiveness of their practice. When I teach my students, I always recommend them to adapt the following format. Beginning with the warm-up exercise, especially stretching and a single movement for Fajin purposes. One should practice this part no matter which style. This section should be at least 20% of the duration of practice. After warm-up and Fajin practice, you can work on basic movements depending on the specific style. For example, if you practice xingyi, the 5 elements movements are a must. If you practice Tai Chi, then the Taichi routine should be the next. In the case of Bagua, the 8 basic circle walking practice should be next. Then other specific contents related to the style should be practiced. For example, in xingyi, you can focus on 2 or 3 of the 12 animals at a time. In Bagua, you can choose to practice some of the 8 big palms, and in Tai Chi, you can practice some of the movement from the routine in isolation. Then, after this step, if you can practice with a training partner, you should focus on push hand or applications of movements. If you practice alone, then you should focus on practicing individual movement with Fajin and speed. So you can see that you need a plan to practice and at each stage. Specific practice should be emphasized in order to maximize the result and the benefits. This is another reason for you to have a good teacher, or at least someone to guide your practice. Therefore, understanding the content of a style is the key here. Unfortunately, many people in our community do not even know the content of the style to begin with. I have some videos introducing the content of each style, link us in the description. So, knowing what a style can teach you is the first step. Then you need to have a plan to practice the content in detail. Gradually, your progress will accelerate. So, that brings us to the end of today's video. There are many questions that I have not been able to answer so far. I will try to answer them in future videos. Anyway, thank you for watching, see you next time, and enjoy your practice.